Hello, welcome to another episode of Whether or Not. I'm your host, Mr. Squeegee, and this is being brought to you on behalf of Window Cleaning Resource. Now, we're inside right now because we're going to talk about what we have to do when we're done with our Waterfed pole season. We've been done for a little bit now, and of course we have the R3 purification cart, and we've got our backpacks. So those are things that you're going to need to bring in and winterize. And really it's fairly simple. Whatever system you have, I suggest talking to the manufacturer and seeing what they recommend doing with maybe your RO membrane, things like that. For us with the R3, after talking to Sean, he suggested just leaving the membrane in the housing. Not to take it out, but leave it in there, leave the water in there. That way the RO membrane doesn't dry out and get ruined. So what we had to do was, of course, bring the system out of the van, and I've got a little utility closet here, so it just fits perfect. We just stick it in there, and that's where it'll be for the next couple of months while we wait for the warm temperatures to come back. And now what I also did was I brought in my backpacks and I put them in another interior closet. I made sure not to put them in a closet that has a cold wall or anything like that because I just didn't want to run the chance. Something else to think about if you do have a backpack and you do bring it in is to maybe pull the battery once a month and give it a little charge so that it doesn't just go dead on you over the winter, because that can be awful hard on the battery. So check on them, pull the battery, charge it, do whatever you have to do about once a month to make sure everything's still working good, so when you come to the springtime you don't find yourself with a dead battery that's got a bad cell or something like that. So those are the things that we want to think about. Check with your manufacturer, see what they recommend doing with your RO membrane, because it's going to be in there for a couple months. Don't worry about draining the water out, because you're going to need that water to keep that membrane moist. And then when you bring in your backpacks, make sure you're, again, taking care of the batteries to make sure that they're staying charged and not draining down too low. As far as your hose reels, you want to just open those up, reel them up with the hose hanging down so you can get all that water out so they don't freeze up on you either and cause a break or anything like that, because the last thing you want to do is have to replace a bunch of hose in the spring. So those are a couple things to think about as far as winterizing your water-fed pole equipment, because like it or not, for the next couple of months around here it's going to be really cold, and it did hit us kind of fast, so be aware of that, be safe, and hopefully we'll see you out on the forum. So this has been another episode of Whether or Not. I'm your host, Mr. Squeegee, and on behalf of Window Cleaning Resource, I'd like to thank you for stopping by.